So for the brain project, what I used is a shoebox to create the brain, labeling each part and every single part, even the bottom, with every single part of the brain, which I'll be going over extensively. So the outer layer of the brain, or everything you see here, including the temporal lobe on the side there, is part of the cerebral cortex. And basically, it is involved with higher cognitive functions, such as thinking, perceiving, understanding, and controlling motor functions. But it's obviously all broken down into each of these lobes, which we'll be discussing now. So starting with the frontal lobe right here, the frontal lobe is located at the front of the brain, and it basically controls reasoning, planning, parts of speech, emotions, and problem solving. Following that is the motor cortex, which is a part of the frontal lobe, and it's responsible for the planning, controlling, and executing of voluntary movements part. Next, following that is the parietal lobe. So the parietal lobe is positioned near the top and back of the brain, so it's like not all the way to the back where the occipital is, but it's kind of like towards then. And what the parietal does is it basically integrates sensory information, and it can come from like spatial sense, navigation, things like that. So the sensory cortex is a part of the parietal lobe, and basically what the sensory cortex does is it's like a form of information from the body, which includes things like touch, pain, temperature. Following that is the occipital lobe, which kind of is all the way at the back. So this lobe basically deals with visual processing and interpretations. So next is the temporal lobe, and basically the temporal lobe is situated on the sides of the brain, and each lobe is basically responsible for processing auditory information. So for example, it would process things like speech and vision, but mostly it would be related with speech and other forms of sounds. Next is the cerebellum, which is at the back and bottom of the brain, right there. And so what the cerebellum deals with, by the way, it would like wrap around at the bottom like that, so it would go like that. And so basically what the cerebellum deals with is coordinating voluntary movements. It would control things like balance and etc. Next is the medulla, which is part of the brainstem. And what the medulla is it's the lowest part of the brainstem, and what it regulates is like vital functions such as breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, and other types of very important actions, as well as like reflexes. If we look inside the brain, we can see the reticular formation. The reticular formation is basically a network of nerves that plays a vital role in regulating things like arousal, attention, and sleep-wake. And this includes everything you see here and everything we'll be covering right now, as well as the medulla and brainstem we covered earlier. So starting with the amygdala, which is this thing right here. The amygdala is known for processing emotions like fear and pleasure. Following that is the thalamus. The thalamus is this white thing right here. And basically what this is known for is receiving sensory information and relaying it to appropriate regions for like processing. And then after that is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is this red thing right here. And what this is known for is regulating things like temperature, hunger, thirst, and things like that. After that is the hippocampus, which is this green thing right here that follows along. The hippocampus is involved in like memory-based things like retrieval of long-term memories, as well as like navigation. After that is the corpus callosum, which is this really big white thing right here. And what this is known for is communication and coordination between the left and right side, since it's like a band of nerve fibers. And then lastly, it's the pituitary gland right down here. And the pituitary gland is like known for secreting hormones that regulates various other endocrine glands.